You know the feeling. You follow the plan to the letter. You put in grueling hours. But when the sun comes up, you have absolutely nothing to show for it. Imagine standing knee-deep in freezing water, scrubbing the slime out of an empty net, trying to figure out how you're going to explain to your family that the lake gave you nothing tonight. Think about Joelle. She is a professional who just got passed over for a promotion she was entirely overqualified for. She's sitting in her car right now, staring at the steering wheel, wondering if she's inadequate. She feels like she's scrubbing an empty net. For a professional fisherman on the Sea of Galilee in 28 AD, a barren night on the water felt like a direct verdict on his competence. His identity, his community standing, and his survival were entirely tied to the catch. We naturally interpret this kind of failure as a sign that God is distant. In the architecture of the biblical text, an empty net operates differently. It operates as the exact prerequisite for the intervention that follows. This is the Sea of Galilee. To understand Simon Peter's failure, we have to look at the scale of his environment. He operated within a major commercial industry that funded entire communities across this region. His primary tool was a trammel net. A trammel net is a complex piece of engineering made of 3 distinct layers of woven linen. Because fish could easily see these thick linen fibers in the sunlight, fishermen were forced to work exclusively under the cover of darkness. He operated out of heavy wooden vessels like this one, a preserved wreckage from exactly that era. Navigating these boats required immense physical exertion. The Gospel of Luke uses a specific Greek word to describe Simon's night, kopeo. Kopeo refers to a specific type of exhausting labor that leaves a person physically and mentally beaten down by fatigue. Simon spent hours rowing, hauling, and resetting, coming up empty every single time. He was completely depleted. His empty net operates as a divine diagnosis of absolute human limitation, rather than a simple stroke of bad luck. Here is the surgical detail of the text. Jesus arrives at the shoreline, and he intentionally bypasses the successful, busy boats. He chooses to step directly into the idle boat with the empty nets. He borrows the failure. Look at this historical image of exhausted men standing in the shallows. Hauling nets from the shoreline was a highly public activity. Everyone in the community could see exactly who caught fish and who didn't. Simon's failure was entirely exposed. Jesus gives a command that directly contradicts the mechanics of linen nets and years of professional expertise. He tells Simon to launch out into the deep and let down the nets for a catch. The sun is up. The nets are completely visible to the fish. Jesus is a terrestrial carpenter. Simon has spent his entire life on this water. Taking maritime orders from a woodworker in broad daylight is a massive professional insult. God does not wait for our success or for us to be in a better mood to intervene. His presence moves directly into the absolute center of our emptiness. Simon's response reveals the internal mechanics of biblical trust. He addresses Jesus using the Greek military term epistates. An epistates is a commander. Simon uses this title to formally acknowledge an authority that supersedes his own professional knowledge. He says, "Master, we've worked all night and caught nothing, but at your rema I will let down the nets." This diagram illustrates the distinction. A rema is a highly specific, personal utterance directed at a pinpointed moment in time. It snaps into a single, sharp point. Simon makes an active choice to override his own logic. He abandons his maritime expertise entirely, relying completely on this personal rema he barely understands. The physical result is immediate. The nets fill so heavily they begin to tear. Simon pulls in an entire week's worth of profit in a single daytime cast. The emptiness was a required structural design. If Simon's nets had been full that night, he would have had zero reason to listen to a carpenter's illogical fishing advice. The empty net created the required space for the rhema to land. God's goal in exposing our inadequacy is not to shame us. He empties our hands so he can replace our current trajectory with a mission we could never manufacture on our own. Jesus tells a trembling Simon, "Do not be afraid. From now on, you will be catching people alive." The author uses a highly specific Greek word here, zogrio. Look at this comparison. Zogrio is a military term. It means sparing an enemy on the battlefield to give them life. It is the exact opposite of the commercial fishing trade, where you catch things so they die. Simon's entire career is inverted in a single sentence. He is pulled out of a trade designed to extract life and placed into a vocation designed to rescue drowning people. Think about Joelle again, sitting in her car after that massive career rejection. Her feelings of total inadequacy feel exactly like scrubbing an empty net. She feels defeated. She is actually perfectly positioned for intervention. Do not interpret the silence of an empty net as divine distance. It is the internal architecture of God's return. Step 1 this week: identify the empty net in your own life. Name the place where you are completely depleted, and consciously stop trying to force a catch in the dark. Step 2. Listen for the rhema. Pay attention to the highly personal directive that directly challenges your professional expertise and logic. If this surgical look at failure helped you see your own empty nets in a new light, please hit that subscribe button to help us keep uncovering these blueprints. Leave a single word in the comments describing your current empty net. It helps other viewers realize they aren't the only ones in the boat. Keep walking in wisdom.